Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to On the Spot Motorsports Media. I'm your host, Mitchell Gunter. Tonight we've got a great show. Robert Simpson's going to be joining us. We got Rob Reynolds. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Fall Brawl that will be taking place on November 9th through the 12th at Gainesville Raceway. But before we get into that, we would like to give all of our sponsors a little shot of the action and thank them for helping us provide you with up-to-the-moment details and the love of motorsports, NHRA drag racing, and NASCAR.
60 years of innovation, 60 years of attention to detail, 60 years of rigorous testing under race conditions is what makes ATI Performance Products great. ATI has been helping racers like you reach the finish line first. Today, we manufacture a wide range of high-performance parts that are track-tested and race-proven. We're passionate about performance, and that passion is what drives you to the finish line first. See everything ATI has to offer at ATIRacing.com.
Hey Tornado fans, this is Kurt Miracle of Miracle Automotive and Towing, proud sponsors of Tornado Football. I want to welcome you to beautiful Stark, Florida at David Hurst Stadium, and thank you for letting us be a part of this community. We're here for more than your automotive and towing needs. We're here to be part of Tornado Country. Go Big Red!
Rob, thank you for joining us tonight. Robert, he is co-hosting, and we have Rob Reynolds joining us. Like I said, we're going to talk about the Fall Brawl taking place at Gainesville Raceway coming up in November the 9th through the 12th. Rob, we thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into questions and stuff about the race that is coming up, kind of give everyone a little bit of details of what you do.
What I do for a regular job?
For a regular job.
Yeah.
I own a machine shop, engine shop in here in Melbourne, Florida. It's Space Coast Speeding Custom. I've had it for 10, 12 years now. It's been under that name. I had a different name for it but I'd moved buildings and businesses and counties, and we just changed everything about 10 years ago. But and we changed formats. We were doing whole cars and roll cages and fuel systems back then, everything. And I've just scaled down to where all we do now is we machine and build engines, anything from like crate style motors all the way up to, anything basically. It doesn't matter what we can do pretty much anything automotive related. We don't do any aircraft stuff or anything like that. We no outboard engines. We just do all automotive style stuff. We do and machining wise, we do everything in house. So if we do your engine, everything gets done here. We do the machine work. We can supply the parts, or if you want to supply the parts, it doesn't matter. I mean, I only prefer to be a part of that part of the program. So because I've been doing it so long that I kind of know normally what's better and what's not better, what you want to, what's going to work for the combination you want to do. Sometimes guys, they don't really know, they know what they want. They don't know how to achieve it. So we try to help them get there, with what we do, in all aspects of it. We also have a small speed shop. We sell some parts, and I don't do really anything online or nothing. I can ship parts and stuff like that, but I'm a big advocate of support your local speed shops. So, I mean, there's not many left, so like up by you guys, Rollins and all them. I mean, I shout out to them guys all the time. And Orlando, I got buddies that own speed shops, and I give them props all the time. I'm one of those guys that in the business, I feel like you should build each other up, not knock each other down. So if you're in the business and you're good at what you do, I try to support you, and I try to help out. And if you're in the business and you don't know what you're doing, I just don't really talk about you much.
Right.
Well, I try not to say nothing bad, I try not to say nothing bad. I just would rather say nothing at all, So, but yeah, we're not a big shop. There's 4 of us that work there, and I got 3 guys. My son is obviously works for me, and then I got a guy that does all my block work, and his son actually works for us too now, and then he's only part time because he's only 15, but he loves it, and he's going to take after his dad. I think it's going to be really neat. I mean, as long as there's cars around with combustible engines, I think as far as Brevard County goes, there's always going to be machinists here because my son's only 20 and Josh is 15 years old, and I think he's gonna take after his dad, and so I mean, to be as young as they are, even when me and Steve get out of it, and however long that's going to be from now, we'll still have some people taking over, and down south you got Johnny Tolisano, he's 27, and up north there's a friend of mine that does it, he's in his late 20s, so there's several options out there for decent people that still do it. It sucks because it's getting slimmer and slimmer, but
Right.
it's great for us in a way because the business is booming, but we can't keep up with the workload we got, and and obviously there's a demand, not just drag racers, but like I said, we do circle track engines, airboat, mud truck, crate motors for guys with hot rods, and I don't do very much stock OEM stuff anymore. We don't do very much stock rebuilds, but we're kind of priced ourselves out of that kind of on purpose, but it's just we rely more on the performance end of it. But yeah, it's a great business. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been in the automotive business for my whole life. I mean, I'm about 49 years old, and I've been doing it since I was 15. So my whole life, this is all I've really done. So it's blessed me and my family. We get to do a lot of stuff, and I get to do crazy stuff like put on races that I probably shouldn't be putting on, and stuff like that. But it's a fun business, and I love the community. I love racers, and it's just one big family. You know how that goes.
Sure.
When you get racing, so
Yeah.
really, no matter where you go, there's always a collection of people that are always willing to help and do stuff for you, and and it makes it a lot more fun. When I was younger, I'm still competitive, but I was a lot. I'm not going to say nastier, but I was a lot more. I was more about winning than I was having a good time, and now I'm more about having a good time than I am winning.
Right.
So,
Makes sense.
Well, and I tell you, we're in a point in time where electric cars are pretty much being pushed on us, and I'm just one of those type of guys. You got to have something that you can hear. A motor sings a certain way, and shops like yours will be around for a long time because there's a lot of people who do not want to go to electric cars, and so they will spend the money to have their motors rebuilt,
Yep.
and reconditioned for years to come.
Yeah, we've probably got. I don't know. I kind of wish I'd have been in the shop. I could like do a picture real quick, but it's. I mean, we probably got, I don't know, 45, 50 engines in the shop right now and it's all the time revolving like that. We're always, pretty full, and I don't have anything against electric cars. I mean, even in drag racing, I'm not, even though it actually, it absolutely destroys my industry, but I don't have anything against it. That if people want to do it for other reasons, I don't know if you want to get into that now or not. I mean, it doesn't matter to me if we do or not, but I feel like they should all have their own class, and there's not enough of
Agreed.
them to have their own class. That's the unfortunate thing. Is there's not, there isn't 20 of them showing up, so you can't say, okay, you guys race each other. And I've raced my fair share of them, and I've had good luck against them, and I've had bad luck against them, like everybody else. And it's unfortunate. They're kind of put in a hard spot because I mean, the vehicle. There's a lot of advantages to an electric car. There's a lot more than people I think even think of.
Yes.
But like I said, I don't have anything against them. I do wish there was enough. If they were going to do it, I wish there was enough that showed up to, support a class, because it's the same thing. We seen it. First time we ever seen one was in juniors. We show up to a race, and my son's got a race one. I'm like, what is that thing? And we figured out real fast what it was. And but yeah, so it's they're definitely different, and it's interesting. And I'm all for. I'm not a big technology guy. I mean, it took me 10 minutes just to open this up to get on here and talk to you guys. So I'm not a big technology
Rob. I can relate.
Yeah, I'm not. But at the same time, I don't have a problem with progress and technology happening. I just, like I said, it's I allow them at my races. I allow electric cars, and some people get mad at me for doing it. And they allow them in a Saturday night bracket race, and I feel like if they're going to let them in there, let them in there. And if they haven't, it's not like you've seen guys going out winning national championships and winning the world championship in electric cars yet. They're not standing out and just winning every weekend. Maybe then there'd be something to gripe about. You still got to be able to hit the tree in the thing. That's basically all you got to be able to do in it anymore. You can pretty much make the thing run dead on every time, but you got to be able to hit the tree in it, so it's like I said, as far as that they go in the world, and I think if they were used primarily for what they were designed for, which was to be driven short distances, that's what they were originally brought up for, was people to have a secondary car to go to the grocery store, to go in and out of traffic. So they didn't have to take big cars with gas to run to the store every day and go here and go there and pollute the environment. That's what they're supposed to be used for. But now they're getting into, all this other crazy stuff with them, and it's turned into what it's turned into, and it's it's going to keep growing, unfortunately, for my industry, not for the world, but for my industry. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Well, one of the things the NHRA did, which I think is really cool for those guys who do race those cars, they race each other out in Pomona at the finals, and they put them all together, and they have to race.
I think does too. I think iTrade does that too. At least they did. We were at the World Finals a couple years ago, and you said that they did. They had an electric car class. I remember that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The guy who races Gainesville and Bradenton with that one that runs Sportsman and
right.
I'm talking about. I don't remember his name, but Jeff.
I can't remember his name either. But I had met him.
Jeff, he got a ponytail. That guy. Yeah. He didn't win. He run it up out there. Yep. He run it up. Yeah. I mean, he did run up the electric car class. It's kind of neat. And there was like 8 of them. I mean,
we're an iTrade. Talking about an iTrade.
iTrade, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because Palm Beach was iTrade there last year.
Oh,
right.
Gotcha.
That's when we went. Yeah, that's when we went. Like my son was the champion for juniors, and we went out there and we watched it. We watched the electric cars run too. Yeah, yep.
They had. Go ahead. No, they had a handful of them at the bracket finals last year in Georgia. They had like 8 of them doing Race of Champions, or 6 of them and where we were pitted was right at the finish line. I mean, like 600 feet. And it's the only way is you see headlights move, because you obviously don't hear anything, but you can hear them get on the brakes. You can hear everything. They are mad at the finish line when they get on the brake. I mean, they are mad. So so we're all looking at each other going, he tanked that one, or he backed into that one, or whatever, But you can definitely hear it. But you're right. Some of them's very impressive. Yeah. Very, very, very impressive. But just like you said, everything's got a spot. And
I agree.
It's when they start going outside that it just makes it, I say uncomfortable, but makes you question some things.
Yeah. But
absolutely, we're not there yet. So at least around here. At least around here.
No.
So tell us a little bit about this race that you're putting on and promoting at Gainesville.
So the Fall Brawl is it kind of came to be pretty fast. Me and Tim Goolsby were talking about, we've been talking. Actually, it started slow. We've been talking about doing a race at Gainesville for ever since Chad and Jody. Well, since Jody, Chad, her husband, but since Jody, took over, we started talking about, I want to come back and do something at Gainesville sooner or later, eventually, and I'd like to do something there, and we talked about it a few times, and just nothing ever worked because of either time or timing, or they already had events going on or whatever. And me and Tim, I do love Junior Jackson Motors, but we and him, I'd seen his name, that's why I read it, but he's the go-to. Yeah, bring all your juniors to me. But I love them. But me and him were talking a couple nights, and we got to rambling about doing a race, and we honestly were going to do it on Thanksgiving weekend. That's when this all came about, and we got the date set with Jody. She said it was fine, we could do it, and I went live with saying we were going to do it that weekend, and immediately I got some phone calls and some texts and from some friends that race multiple tracks, and they were like, hey, Bradenton's racing that weekend. It's one of the biggest races of the year for the locals. And I was like, no, that's the following weekend, because I was confusing the snowbirds with the birds, because the snowbirds race, it's always on that weekend, or the bird, whichever one's always on that weekend. I've always raced Palm Beach at the Citrus. It's the same weekend. Right. I just always gone there. So I just never even dawned on me. And I did look at their website and seen it. It wasn't on there. And so we said we were going to do it. Well, when I found that out, I said, look, I don't want to step on nobody, especially somebody close like that. And, I work with Braden too, and Wade's great people, and Victor, they're awesome too. And I said, well, so first we were going to squash it. We weren't even going to do it at all. And then we talked about a couple of different weekends, and we came up with a weekend that nothing was on. No other race, no nothing. And that was this weekend, the 9th to the 12th. There was nothing. I think there's one. I think the World Finals are actually not promoted, but Vegas that weekend, so that's going to take a couple people. If anybody from Gainesville or anywhere, Division, whoever wins Division 2 is going to be out there, I'm sure. So it's going to take a couple of those racers. And there's a large foot brake race at somewhere in the Carolinas. No other big top bulb race anywhere. So we said, let's do it then. Let's do it that weekend. And then, you guys, I'm sure you've seen or read the rest of the story where, this ongoing stuff with me and SFG, and, he'd moved his event. And I don't think I said, like I said, I was on Marco Lopez's podcast last week. I don't think it was done purposely. I really don't.
Right.
But
I don't think so.
No, I don't. But the fact of the matter is he could have moved it to the following weekend. I let him know when he announced he was moving it. I immediately let him know, hey, man, we're doing one that weekend too. Here's why I posted it, blah, blah, blah. I seen Capital C has a testing tune the following weekend. Can you just flip with the testing tune? And I know they would do it, and Kyle refused to do it. And he said it was because he's worried about weather and being too cold. And I understand all that. But it's a shame that the two best paying races in the whole month of November are going to be on the same exact weekend. So people are going to have to choose. They're going to have to pick and see where they go and stuff like that. But it's going to be what it's going to be. We feel like we're going to have a good crowd. I feel like it's going to be a well-attended event. I've had a lot of people contact me and say they're coming and they can't wait for it. It's about time Florida has some other decent paying money races and stuff like that. And I don't think it's something you could do. It's not a monthly or even a every 3 month race you could do, but it's something you could do a couple times a year as far as that structure goes, throughout the state, but yeah, so me and him come up with the idea, and then we decided to do it that weekend, and all that stuff happened. And since then we decided we're just going to roll with it and see what happens. And like I said, we only need 350. We're only taking 350 Super Pro cars. So, I think it's going to be a good event. I think we'll have a good venue, and in Gainesville, they do, they run a good race. Again, not that, and Mike Yerk and the crew did really great when Mike ran it too. And Jody's done awesome since she's taken over. And a lot of people had a lot of doubts. It's funny, the racers, the chit chat in the pits and, whatever. And she's proved everybody wrong, in my opinion. The track's been phenomenal all year. Corey's done a great job prepping and making the track, on point. And and they've run the events, you're there, they got 250 cars, and they're done at 9:30 at night. The latest on Sunday, they're done by, before the sun goes down. It's been a good year for them. So I'm hoping we can have a similar outcome there in November. Have a good race for everybody.
Yeah. And Jody Kennedy, she is all about having that track active as much as possible, and not just have it for the Gator Nationals and just for ET racing, but to bring other different type of racing in as well. She's even told me that she would be interested in hosting something that West Buck may want to put on later on. I know they're going to be doing the pro race down there in Bradenton.
That's going to be a cool event.
Yeah, it's going to be that. Yeah. That is getting a lot of traction, and it is all
for that kind of purse. Oh yeah,
that's going to be a. I'm surprised they're not taking spectator tickets in advance, or maybe they are, but they're probably going to need to, because there's going to be. I mean, I'm gonna drive 3 hours to go watch it, and I mean, just because when else are you going to get to watch top fuel guys race for $250,000? I mean, they're going to lay it all on the line. I mean, it's going to be awesome,
especially in your backyard.
Yeah,
literally in your backyard.
Yep.
Well, I definitely will be there. I've got to call Wes about getting media credentials to be able to attend, and so I can actually take some pictures, pretty much like I done on the Door Slammers thing that he done at Orlando a few years ago with the Pro Mods. Was able to get a bunch of great pictures right there all on the wall, and it was a really great event, really well ran. And I know with Wade and them down there in Bradenton, this thing is going to be it's just going to be out of this world.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So, want to talk a little bit about the entry fees. I know that you are not asking for all of the money up front. Can you walk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah. So the way the entry fees are going to work is on the 15th of September, we're going to open. It'll be open before then, but we're gonna go live with being able to enter at 9 a.m. on the 15th of September. They're finishing the website up right now, and you're going to go on. It's dragracefl.com, and you're going to go on there, and you'll basically sign up. So whether it'll show the classes, you can click on it, and you'll have to enter real easy information, driver name, car number, and a few things like that. And basically it's a $95, hold your spot. So when I first started promoting, I don't want to backtrack, and I know I ramble, I'm sorry. But
you're fine. You're fine.
My first few events, probably the first 3 or 4 years we did the New Year's race, I always did pre-entries. And honestly, pre-entries can scare you to death, because when you don't have the amount of entries that you're thinking you need to have an event, it really weighs on you really hard. My first year in Georgia, we have an event that we're in our head. We're like, okay, 350 cars, and we're at least gonna be break even between the entries and this and the track rental and all the extra money we spent for advertising. And this is no joke, we drove to the racetrack with 83 pre-entries. 83. So in my head, I'm like, this is gonna bomb. My wife's gonna kill me, because we're gonna lose all our savings, and I've got to pay the racers. I can't not pay them, and I got to pay the track rental. So I'm going to lose everything. This is crazy. I don't know why I'm even doing this. And it had it was like 70% chance of rain. It was actually raining Friday, but Thursday, when it's raining at SGMP, we're literally watching cars roll in and roll in and roll in and roll in. And Friday morning, I get up and I go out to the gate and I go, hey, how many entries do we got now? And it was like, I don't know, 360 or something. I mean, it was crazy. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I'm not, I'm a religious guy, but I don't preach it a lot. I have my own faith, but I literally was like, I don't know. It's got to be, nothing else can answer, but it's got to be God that saved us. Cause I was like, I had a partner at the time, and neither one of us, I mean, I could afford it, but it was going to, like I said, it was going to take all our savings to pay everybody. Right. And he didn't have his half. I know he didn't. We didn't think it was going to be this bad. And like I said, we were so worried about it. Anyway, my whole point about that whole story is I don't care to take pre-entries, because it's not that I want to be surprised on the day of the races, but instead of being built up for 2 months wondering, how am I going to get these cars? What am I going to do? Do I cancel the event? You know what? I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just show up, and if we got enough cars, great. If we don't, then we'll figure it out, whatever we got to do. But this in this particular instance, being that it's a max car count, you have to take some sort of a pre-entry to hold the spot, or else you can't just say, hey, I'm going to show up on that weekend, don't hold me a spot, Rob. I can't do that. So
exactly.
So we are not taking any extras. We don't have a backup plan. So if no box gets full, and I think it will, honestly, pretty quick, only because I've had so much about that. I can't believe the response I've had for that class, but if no box gets full, and say Jeff Gatlin is the 33rd car, well, Jeff Gatlin's going to have to hope that somebody bails out and sells him their spot, because I don't believe in the whole 10% over. Max is max. That's how I see it. That's always bothered me, and it's not just one promoter that does it. Several do it, and I understand why they do it, but I feel like you should you should plan your event to the car count. If you get to the max, you're more than safe. And if you lose a little bit, you're still okay. May not make money, may not make as much money, but you're still going to be okay. And I've never, ever, ever in 10 years of doing this, ever lost more than 10%, ever. So if there's 350 guys signed up, I've never lost more than 35 ever. So make your event where it works. If you do lose the 10%, you know what I mean? You're still not going to, you may not make as much profit, but you're not going to lose. And in my eyes, it saves face with racers. Some guys, it either doesn't bother them or they just don't know the math. But when you take, when you got a $700 entry, you take 10 extra guys for every class, you're not 10 guys. I'm sorry, not 10 guys. You got 350 cars. Now you take 335 extra cars. That's $20,000 you just put in your pocket. You're not giving the racers another dollar, So there's I don't feel like that's a right way to do things. I just don't. It's just, I don't do this. The promoting thing is not something I do. It's not what I make a living at. So obviously we don't want to go backwards. I'm not looking to write a check for $20,000 and walk around crying all day because I lost money. But at the same time, if that's what happens, is what happens. But I feel like you're taken away from racers when you say there's 350, and then you watch it on Motor Mania or on your podcast, or you're on your live feed, and you count and you go, in there's 377 cars on the track first round. It wasn't 350. You know what I mean? So it's just it just takes it away. I think it's a special thing if you do what you're going to say you're going to do, and I believe in that. Just like we do, our return money policy is 100% return. So if you enter my event, you give me $95, and you call me the day before the event and go, hey, I broke my arm, my cat passed away, my wife's sick, my whatever, I don't feel like coming. You know what? I don't like you anymore. I don't want to come to your event. Whatever reason. I don't even need one. I'm going to immediately refund you your $95. I'm not going to hold it and say, well, you can use it at New Year's Nationals, or, you can use it next year if we come back, or whatever, because a lot of stuff can happen in a year or a month or 3 months, and that's your money. You gave me the money. You trusted me to hold it. I'm going to give you your money back. That's the only right thing to do in my eyes. If I'm going to take a free entry, I'm going to give you your money back. So, that's the other thing we do that, there's a couple promoters, and I actually got that from another promoter. And I'll say his name because I look up to this guy tremendously, but Jared Pennington, that does the World Foot Brake Challenge, Steep Sites, that has always been their policy for 17 years. And when I started my promote deals and my races, I reached out to Jared and I asked him about it. And he's, his not his exact words, but basically what he told me was, there's a lot more good than bad in that. You're going to have to refund some people some money, and you're going to be like, man, this guy's not showing, or this guy's not showing. But at the end of the day, it'll all work out if you do the right thing. And that's the right thing to do. Holding somebody, $95 isn't going to make or break anyone, I don't think. But at the same time, especially in this sport, if you're doing it, if you're going to put the money out, you better be able to afford to put it out. But at the same time, holding it isn't fair to the racer. So that's not a good look, I don't think, for a promoter.
I agree with that.
Now, tell us a little bit about this test and tune and the 5,000 warm up thing with a $100 entry.
So the test and tune is going to be done by Gainesville. We're gonna be there, obviously, and we're looking at with Jody, and she's gonna run the test and tune and the gamblers deal, basically like the event. So it's kind of going to get the crew and the racers ready. They're going to call them by class, because we're going to separate door car and dragster and super pro as long as we can. We're obviously going to keep no box separate all the way down to one car left, and we're going to call them, in the run order, even during the gamblers race, even though it's Gainesville's event, not mine. Gainesville wants to do this, and basically, so you get a test and tune, and you get to a gamblers race for $100. It's going to pay $5,000 to win. I don't know what the payback is. I'm not positive on what that is, but it's usually, it's probably going to have a little bit of, they'll probably have some depending on if they do buybacks or not, because that's the other thing. I think they have a buyback on the flyer, and it's going to stay that way as long as there's not 400 cars in it at 7 o'clock at night. If 400 cars get in it, then they're going to have 300 cars get in it. Obviously, they're going to have to, it's going to be a one and done deal. If you lose, you lose kind of thing. So, but that's not what they're going at it for. They're going at it hoping there's 150 to 200 people in it, and because you can only single enter too for the gamblers, you can't. So even if you double for the weekend, you can't double the gamblers. It's going to be single entry, and best man or woman left standing is going to be the winner, and so that's going to be a Gainesville deal. But we want to be able to get everybody in early and get them parked and let them set up. And if they want to get some extra time runs, a lot of guys are going to travel. Some guys don't care. They'll come make their one-time run in the morning, or if they're double, they'll make their two-time runs in the morning and go racing. Some people care, so it's just, it's for $100 and you get to run for $5,000. I mean, excuse me, it's kind of a no-brainer. In my opinion, if you're there, you're coming, you might as well take a shot at it, get you a couple extra time runs at the track and the tree, and get you, especially if you're from Tennessee or Ohio or Carolina and you've only been to Gainesville once or twice or never. Some people may have never been there and they're going to come, so that those guys and girls probably want to get an extra hit or two, and for $100 you get the best of both worlds.
Agreed.
The one thing I like. Oh, go ahead, Robert.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you a quick question, Rob. While we're talking, can you explain a little bit more on the no box side? As far as I see, you're only allowing 32 entries for the no box, if I read that correctly.
Yeah. So what we're doing is the no box and the junior. We're going to do a junior deal with 32 cars, and the no box side is also going to be 32 cars. So what'll happen is that those guys will run all by themselves. Okay, so there's one left. So it'll be 6 rounds because of the re-entry fee. It'll take 6 rounds to get there. So it'll be a 6-round race. The no box side is going to have a bonus to it. That's the other thing that I can get into real quick. I'll explain real fast. Is in my opinion, no box is a bonus. So it's a bonus to the promoter as well as the racer, in my eyes. So when I say that, what I mean is, again, that's 32 extra entries. So it's great for the promoter. It's great for the event. It's great to give the no box side guys somewhere to race, but at the same time, you're taking in that extra money, and I feel like you should give back. So our no box bonus is $1,500 on Friday and Sunday, and $3,000 on Saturday's 50K. So if you just get to the no box, the end of no box, you can get $1,500, $3,000, and $1,500. Now, that being said, before I go any further, and I'm not putting any other event down, but that's the best bonus. I think if I've looked at a lot of events, that's the best bonus anybody pays no box in the country for one of these races. I mean, I just looked at the Spring Fling. I think that's 1,000, 2,000, and 1,000. And most places are 500, 1,000, 500. They give you a little bonus, but nothing crazy. We're paying 1,500, 3,000, 1,500. Now, once you get to the end of no box, say you win that, so you win those 6 rounds, you're the last no box car standing. Now you also get thrown into the big event, the $25,000 or $50,000, $25,000. You get thrown in 7th round. Now you got to race box cars at that point. There's going to be somewhere between 6 and 8 of y'all left at that point. You're going to be at the split part, basically, where people start cutting money up. That's where you're going to be. So you get to that point, and you may have to run. It'll be a door car, because there'll still be a door car dragster split at that point. So there's one door car, one dragster left. We won't run them against each other until they're the end. But you'll have to run a door car, but you'll get to the point where you flop over into the box side of the race, and you get to continue on and try to make an additional 25,000, 50,000, 25,000. And the whole time you're earning the same round money that everybody else is. So you're not losing anything. You're racing the same race Super Pros racing, but you're racing a bunch of other no box guys. You're not having to run dragsters and 5-second door cars with delay boxes until you win the no box side. And then there's nobody left but the box car.
So
you see what I'm
you're
saying?
paying back starting third round and no box. You're doing the same pay scale as
Same
you are on
exact pay. Yes, you'll get the same round
Okay.
money. You get the same round money, but you'll get the same everything. So if you lost fifth round of our race, you'd get 2 rounds of round money. You get 2 rounds of round money on top of at that point. And if you won, if you won from there on out, you'll get the bonus money and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So third round win. So fourth round loser, you get a round of, if you won third round of no box, if you won third round of no box, you'll get the same round money the box guys do, the exact same money. Everybody gets the same money. Yes, sir. You paying the same entry. You're actually racing for an extra bonus. You're racing for the same money they're racing for, but the no box guys get a bonus basically for signing up because it's a high entry fee. I understand that, but it's also can pay, lots of no box guys have won these big money races. A lot of them. It's not just a few guys anymore. I mean, Hastings and Bauman and Kevin Pollard and I mean, the list goes on and on and on of guys that have won that have fallen over from no box to box and won, big money races. So, I think Lucas Walker's done it, and and again, a lot of those races are up north where a lot of our guys haven't had the opportunity to go try it. But I mean, there's plenty of talent, bottom ball talent in Florida that could absolutely win this race off the bottom, So
As crazy as it sounds, can somebody double enter and run one on box and one on no box?
Absolutely. That's actually what a lot of guys do. For instance, my son, and he don't think he's, like I said, I tell everybody all the time, people are like, I'm like, he has to do the same thing everybody else has to do. If he's not one of the first 32 cars in no box, he's not racing that race. It's not my, I'm promoting the race. I'm his dad, but at the same time, I'm fair. So
right.
but like him, for instance, he will enter. He'll make sure he gets his no box entry in first when he signs up that morning, because he'll be more worried about getting in there, but he'll absolutely go over and enter box also. He'll run both off the bottom. Some guys will put a delay box in the car and run the top bulb side with the delay box.
Right.
And they'll run the bottom side, and they'll go back and forth. But he prefers to run both off the bottom, but he'll do that. A lot of, I would say probably the 32 cars that get in, I'd honestly going to say that probably 30 to 50% of them will probably have entries in both. Most guys will do both. A lot of them will. Because they got 2 chances. I mean, I've seen guys double in no box, and that makes no sense to me. Only because now, let's say you do good enough, you're double entered out of 32 cars. Let's say you beat everybody and you get down to the final. You can only take one to the box side. Now, if you're in the box in the no box class and you do really good, you could actually take both those entries to the ladder. I mean, you could have 2 out of the 8, in the ladder, one from no box and one from box.
Right.
So that's, if you were going to double, that's the way I would do it. Absolutely. Jeff Gatlin, he'll do the same thing.
Oh,
Jeff Gatlin absolutely will have one on the bottom, one on the top. Troy Stafford will do the same thing. If Walker and Charlie Lockhart come down, they'll do the same thing. A lot of those guys, John Rollins will probably do the same thing. A lot of those guys do that. Brandon George might do the same thing in his Mustang. So a lot of those guys do that type of racing. Gage Birch, if he comes, he'll do the same thing.
I got some buddies that reached out from North Carolina when they saw the flyer, so they're inquiring too.
Nice.
They run up around the Rockingham Way and North and Piedmont and all those places, but they're bottom bulb racers.
Yeah.
So
if it fills up like they say it's gonna, I mean, I don't know, but if it does, I'll expand it next year. I just that's the other thing I don't believe in. I don't believe in changing the flyer. I try to keep it the same as I can. Because here's the thing: we put the flyer out now. Everybody read it now. So if I change something in October, well, they read today's flyer, and if they don't read it again, they don't know it changed. And now all of a sudden they come to the race and this changed, and now they're mad at me. And it's not one racer. You got 20 guys that tell you the same thing. So again, something I learned very early in my promoting career. I changed something a long time ago, and I didn't know it would have the backlash it had. And now, ever since then, for the last, like I said, 9-10 years, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. It's just I think it's not. I don't think it's the right thing to do unless you have to. Besides adding sponsors and making very minimal changes, I don't even try to change the time the gates open and shut, because it just people get very confused and they get very upset about stuff. So So I try to keep it simple, and I try to keep it as
consistent and very consistent. Yeah,
consistent. Yep.
Completely with you on that. Do you think there's going to be more of a purse breakdown as the year goes on? Because that's one of the questions somebody asked me. You show, assuming you start paying, third round. I just did not know if there's more of a breakdown coming. I'm just asking because I was.
You mean like if it's going to change, if it's going to pay different, like
quarters would pay this much, fifth round or sixth round
so,
pay this much, fifth, fourth.
So it's basically like I say, when you do reentries, you normally do a round money deal, and so I don't know what the money would be at the quarters, but whatever. Let's say it's seventh round or sixth. Say it'll be six. It'll take six. So you go to 7. There's 8, 9, 10. So let's go with eighth round will be the quarters. So at eighth round, you'd be on Saturday. It's $250, I think, a round from third round on. So fourth, fifth, sixth.
Okay, $250.
It'll pay somewhere around $1,000. $750 to $1,000 somewhere in there. I'd have to have the flyer in front of me to give you the exact numbers, but
it's
going to pay good. It's going to pay. Yeah, it's going to pay pretty good at that point. Yeah, at that point. I mean, it's not big. It's not huge round money, at first. But if you go, a few rounds, you can definitely get your entry fee back. And if you can go to fourth to fifth round every day, you get your entry fee back. If you're lucky enough not to have to buy back, that's the biggest thing. We try to make it where you can get your money back. If you had to buy back, you can get your money back at the first round. The first round of round money, you get your buyback back, and then you win 2 more rounds, and you have your whole entry fee back. So if you can win, 5 rounds, if you win 5 rounds, you pretty much get all your money back. So
you answered the question. It's starting roughly $250 on the rounds, paying, and then it increases $250 per.
That's round. On Saturday. I think it's 125 or 150 on Friday and Sunday. I don't have the flyer. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of it. But
you're figuring
out the round money is. Yeah, but it goes. It's every round it doubles. So 125 becomes 250, becomes 375, becomes 500. So again, by fifth, sixth round, you're $500 in here.
Right.
It's not horrible. It's pretty decent.
Oh no, that's good. That's good on the 50K. So I get to I'll relay that. People that were asking. So okay.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the junior dragster class? And I know the payouts is $1,000 to win, $400 for runner up, and I think it's what $200 for semis.
I think it's something like that. Yeah, I believe that's what it is, and then it pays round money also. It's going to pay. I think it's $50 a round or something for round money for them. So when we first designed the event, we weren't going to do juniors, and it's not that I mean, look, I'm a junior guy. My kids did 10 years. I love juniors, but a lot of the big money races, the bigger paying races, they don't do juniors as much, just because it's not normally part of the whole gig. And I've done juniors at all my events, and Tim wanted to do it. Obviously, his son's racing juniors, and Gainesville has a decent little junior crowd that shows up, and all of Florida does. And I got to talking about it and thinking about it, and Danny Wood reached out to me, and I don't know if you know Danny or not, but his family is who originally owned SGMP. Roland Wood is his uncle, and CSR, water pumps, all that stuff is them. Yeah, Danny owns a good plumbing business in South Florida, Able Plumbing, and Danny wanted to reach out and say, listen, I'll sponsor the junior class if you'll do one. And I said, well, here's the deal. If I just open it up and say juniors are welcome, we're going to get 100 of them. And it's not going to wreck the event, but it slows the event down tremendously. I've had a real good junior following when I've had my events in the past. I've always had good junior car counts in all my races. And I said, well, the only way we're going to do this is if we can limit it. We got to limit it to 32 cars. If you're willing to do that, Danny, then I'll do it. And Danny agreed. And he said, yeah, that's a good idea. I said, because then, so even with juniors and with no box, and if we get 350, Super Pro cars, you're looking at 414 cars on the property. So that being said, that's a very doable event in a day with a time run and getting the event in. It'll be 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night, Friday and Saturday. You know, it's not going to be early. It's going to be at midnight. It's going to be 11 o'clock or midnight race. It is. There's no denying that. But 400 cars is a lot to go through, but it's doable. Once you get above about 450, 500 cars, it gets to be very difficult to get an event in a day. You know, it's a 10, 11 and a half at the latest hour day with 400, 450 cars. Anything over that, it gets busy quick. It gets to be a long day, and that's with no weather, no oil downs, no nothing. So I feel like 400 cars is a doable deal. So I said 32 of them, 32 no box, and we'll see what we can make happen. And so he agreed, and we that's how the juniors came to be, and I wish everybody the best of luck. That's the class I think will fill out the fastest.
Yeah,
because everybody wants to put their kid in, and I get it. I understand. I was there. I mean, I literally, like I said, I was a junior dad until a year ago. Not even about 10 months ago is when I got rid of my daughter's stuff, and up until that point, juniors were everything. I didn't even drive a race car for several years because I was busy racing my kids, having fun with them, and I understand where every one of them are coming from, and I wish them all the best of luck to get in. I hope they all. I wish everybody could get in, but I think that class. I'll be very surprised that class doesn't sell out in under an hour, and the no box will probably. I would say the first day no box sells out, if not, pretty quick also. And then box is going to take what it's going to take. We might get a couple hundred fast, we might get 150 fast, we might get. We might only get 20, and then I'll be like I was before. I'll be scared out of my mind, and we're not going to fill it. So who knows?
Well, one of the things I like, to try to draw more people to your event, is a 10% winning bonus for those who came from 200 miles out to race at the event.
Yeah, that was kind of provoked a little bit. Like I said, it was when we couldn't get cooperation on the events. I said, well, what am I going to do? I mean, think about it for a second. So you're in Gainesville, Florida, okay? You have everything south of you is going to come to you. If they're going to come racing, they're going to come to Gainesville, because why would you drive all the way up north to race, when you can stop, in Gainesville and race for basically the same exact. Basically, it's not the same exact race, but they're very similar. So Florida, I'm not nervous about, but how do I get traveling guys to come from Carolina, Ohio, Kentucky? The guys the racers that are going to come, and they're going to double, and they're going to, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you want to fill those 350 spots. How am I going to do that? How am I going to entice them to come past a racetrack and drive to us? So that's when I came up with. Well, actually, I'm going to take that back. I didn't come up with that idea. I'm not going to say who gave me the idea. I'll say that they're a Gainesville racer. I'll give you that much. I'll give you that much information. And it wasn't their idea either. They told me it wasn't their idea. They actually got the idea from another event. They did a very similar deal. And so it makes all the sense in the world to me. Because if we can get X amount of racers to come from up north now and drive past here because of it, then the amount they're going to bring in will outweigh the amount we're going to pay out. So hopefully that's the case. I don't know. Same thing with the Traveling Bear award we put up this week. That's an incentive also for, and that doesn't matter where they're coming from. If they come from, if they come from south, if they come from the Keys, and they drive all the way up and they're one of the 3 farthest guys, then they're going to get paid. We're going to do it. We're doing it for 3 of them. We're not doing it for one long distance. We're going to do, because I thought about it, we were going to do a big award for one long day. We're going to do like $1,000 deal for the longest guy. Well, if you're coming from, like your buddies in Rockingham. So one's coming from Rockingham and the other guy lives 10 miles farther up the road from Rockingham. The first guy, now he knows he's not getting any money. So he's like, why am I going to go? My buddy's going to get $1,000. Why am I going to go? So instead, we're going to pay 3. So now, unless you have 4 buddies that are coming, you can't tell me that you're not going to get paid. So
you make an excuse for that, right?
yeah. So we split the money up. We're going to pay $350 for 3 guys, and I mean it's a tank of gas, and a big, an RV or a big, 100-gallon tank. It's it's $350 is more than enough gas money to get you from the other racetrack to us. So it'll get you there. So if you want to come on, and we'll pay you to come.
Well, I tell you,
that's a good one. I like that.
I've been in a situation where I've done a car show, and with the car show, we give away an award for the feathers driver that shows up to the car show. Well, I had 2 drivers. They lived within a mile and a half of each other, and we had to take their addresses, put it in MapQuest to see who was the farthest one away from the car show to give them the award.
That happened last year at last year at the New Year's race. That happened with us. Derek Putnam ended up doing the same thing on MapQuest. And these people were both like 1,300 miles away, and they weren't neighbors. They were from 2 different areas. They're both from Canada, or I can't even remember, Washington. I don't remember. Forever away, and they were like literally within like a mile of one another. And I was like, man, I wish I had another sponsor that I could have just paid them both, gave them both.
Right.
I felt horrible. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
You couldn't have broke that to them. I couldn't have done that.
No.
I'd be taking somebody to dinner or something like that. I couldn't have done that.
Yeah, well, it wasn't easy.
That would hurt. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think this is going to be a great event. It's getting a lot of people's talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there will draw people in left and right, Rob. I mean,
it's got a lot of attention. It has. I mean, it's I think it's going to be fine. I mean, and that's what, before we designed the event, me and Tim, figured everything out and where we're going to be, and I think we're going to be fine. And I wish the other event. I hope the other event goes good too. I don't wish him no ill will. I don't wish his event no ill will. I hope 50 people drive past it to come to me. I do hope that, but I still hope his event's good. I don't want him to flop. I want him to do good. He does. He does pay. Pay very well. And he does. From what I understand, as far as that part of the event goes, that part's good. But and I don't know about anything else. I've never actually attended one of the events. I wanted to go to one this year, and they didn't get the bottom ball support. They wanted to have a bottom ball side of the class, so they decided to anx it. I think it's the Rockingham event. I think it's actually next month. The Rockingham event, they're going to have a no box class, and I don't think he got the no box is difficult. It's not, it's all I've ever done my whole life, but it's very difficult to Jerry Pennington and Steve have got a lock on it. Michael Beard does. A lot of guys, a lot of promoters do very, very good bottom ball races, and a lot of them are so far from us. It's very hard to attend, go to Indiana, Ohio, stuff like that. But the bigger ones, like I said, Jerry does, and a lot of stuff in Carolinas that Michael Beard puts on. Those are really, really good events. He's doing one in Rockingham in October.
Yep.
Michael is, and I can't wait to go. I can't wait to go. I don't even care if I race. If my kid races, I don't care. It's just the atmosphere is going to be beautiful. It's going to be nice weather. Right. It's going to be the route. I love the track. I've done very well at Rockingham every time I've gone. So I'm excited about going, and a lot of promoters do good. But my point is, to get the car count is not very easy. It's not when we do our New Year's race, people all the time tell me, hey, you got to put a cap on it. Okay. Well, I said, how do you cap 3 classes with 3 separate payouts? It's very hard to do, because if I cap Super Pro, okay, and I knock them down 100 cars from what normally shows up, well, okay, great. We have 100 less cars showing up. Everybody's happy. Now I cap no box, but I can't get the cars to show up. So, right. So, my no box, and I'm not bragging on it when I say it. I'm just mentioning it. I'm just saying it to say it. A couple of years ago in West Palm, we had the New Year's race in West Palm, and Charlie Lockhart can tell you, himself, because he won it. He won $20,000 with 83 cars. There was 83 cars in no box, and I paid the full purse. I didn't cut it 1 penny. Yeah, so it's we had to pay $20,000 because it was doubled up. It was it rained and we had to double, had to combine it all, and it was 20 grand to win, and I paid it, but it's difficult, our no box class in New Year's is generally 130 to 150 cars, which for a Saturday night bracket race is phenomenal. It'd be fantastic, but when you're paying 10 grand to win, it's not that good of a turnout when you have 350, Super Bowl cars, and then 2 years ago, when we had that, epic number of cars at New Year's, we had 700 entries. So we had, and it's funny. I like to talk about it just because it's funny. We had 100 and it's funny. We had 168 or so, somewhere around there, no box cars. That's including double entries, 168, 172, something like that. We had 198 juniors single entered, no doubles.
Oh.
So we had shy of 200 juniors single entered. We had more juniors singled than we had no box doubled. No box it's a tough class to sell because most no box guys, the majority of them are they're not. It's not that they don't have the money, but they're just more budget minded. Their races, they race more economically. You see a lot more flat deck trailers, a lot more 1,500, 2,500 trucks pulling them. A lot more more basic cars. Race cars that are street cars or that are somewhat race cars. Right. Where you get the Super Pro now, you got $100,000 dragsters and $80,000 roadsters and $60,000 door cars. I mean, it's just the budget's different, So to get them there, to get them to come race and spend the money on entry fee, it means the world to me. It really does, because I understand it, because I come from that. We have an RV now, and I have a big trailer, and I've done over the years I've upgraded mainly because of my kids, but it's the majority of guys that are running no box and running foot brake are they're more budget, they're blue collar, they're workers, they're guys that and when they go racing, they go, okay, it's going to cost me X to go, can I afford it, or do I stay home, or what do I do? Where a lot of your Super Pro guys just roll up to the gate and hand them a credit card and worry about it, when the credit card's due. It's just how it's the truth. I mean, a lot of people don't like to hear the truth. That's the absolute truth.
It's true.
I mean, just you go to any Saturday night bracket race in the country. It doesn't have to be Gainesville. It doesn't have to be Braden. You can go to SGMP. You can go to Silver Dollar. You can go to Rockingham. And when you roll in the gate, you can drive down the pit road where the cars are, and you can pick out who's running Super Pro and who's running no box by their trailer. You ain't even got to look at their car. You can literally look at their equipment, and you're going to be right 90% of the time. Sometimes you're going to be like, "Oh, that's Super Pro car," and you're like, "Oh, he's running no box." But more often than not, you'll be able to get it right.
Do you think there's something in the future for a no box down here? I mean, to continue to build, whether it's formatting or purse structure or something like that in the events that you're doing?
So what I've seen in the last few months, and I don't know if it's a trend. I don't know if it's a trend or if it's of things to come. But what I've seen in the local scene, like we went to Orlando last weekend and raced, there was more no box cars entered than any other class.
Yep.
That's been 2 races in a row at Orlando. I've seen the same thing. And every time we go to Gainesville, I mean, I'm not saying there's more no box cars than Super Pro, but there's just about as many. I mean, it's you guys get a great turnout. So I feel like, yes, I feel like there could be something. I don't know why, because Bradenton pays really well. I don't know why their no box doesn't seem to draw as many racers. Maybe it's maybe everybody in the world's scared of Tim Butler and Gage Birch. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I feel like, I don't know why, but like you go to Bradenton, and on an average points weekend, I mean, there might be 50-ish on Saturday. Yeah, I don't think there's ever. I mean, maybe 60, 50 to 60.
Oh, I assumed there was more because
No, and
when I
on
talked to my buddies, it was good turnouts.
yeah, I mean the turnout's always good because they got motorcycle class and they get huge car count. And their junior programs, I mean, amazing. Super Pro always does really good, but their no box does it's faded off quite a bit, and I don't know, I'm not sure why, but that's the only track I've seen in Florida that's done that. Everybody else seems like they've grown. So I feel like you could do something, a no box related race. What I feel like you'd have to do. So here's my stance on a no box race in Florida. This is what I think they need to do to make one work. I think the track needs to do it because here's the problem with promoting it. Now I've got to pay a track rental. So once I pay a track rental, it's very hard for me to pay a decent purse and a track rental and have a limited entry fee. Do you understand what I'm saying? For like the entry fee. But like North Florida's doing in October Halloween, it's top bulb, but they're doing a 3-5 granders and it's like 160 to enter for the weekend. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 160 to enter but it's top bulb. Right. So I think something very similar could be done for no box in Florida, Bradenton, Orlando, or Gainesville, any one of them. And you could draw, 150 plus no box cars with a small entry fee, and the track itself could make money, but a promoter would have a hard time. That's my thought on it. And it could grow from there. You could make it, you could grow it, a long time ago, years ago. I'm going way, way back. There was a guy, Chris, I can't remember his name, but he ran Montgomery, and he used to do 3-5 granders in Montgomery back in the day. I mean, I'm talking 20 years ago. Right. And there was $3,000, $5,000 win races. It was in October. He used to call it the not the foot brake. It was a feet something, but it was a cool name. It's catchy. But anyway, he would draw 150 cars, and it was $50 a day. $5,000 to win, 1,000 run up thing, paid back, didn't pay round money, paid back the quarters or whatever. And we went up there back in the day, we went up there every year because it was just a cool race for foot brake guys, and fistful of feet. That's what it was called. Fistful of feet. We called it fistful of feet. So I had a fist on it, money, they held a bunch of money in it, and I had a foot in it like foot braking. But it was a foot only race, and we went a couple years, and it was fun. But that kind of race, I think, could be brought back. I mean, it's you got to keep it where the racer can afford it. For if you do a bottom bulb only deal, the racer's got to be able to afford it, and at the same time, the track's got to be able to make a profit. So it's got to be decent paying purse, but not so much. I think that's going to cost a racer, $700-800 in entry fees, and buybacks, and they're going to be $2,000 in the weekend. People can't do that very often. It's gonna by the end of the weekend they're gonna hate the event. It wasn't even the event's fault. They're just gonna be just because they had to buy back a couple times, whatever. They're gonna be, oh, I wish I never came. So
I think racers agree with you completely what you said, but also I think a lot of people are satisfied if the purse isn't so top heavy, if it pays back a little more. And I'm talking about on bottom bulb. I mean, it doesn't have to pay 50 to win, but it can pay like 10 or 5 or whatever. But if it pays back further, like, at Bristol, I mean, where they start paying, I mean, no, it's not enough to pay for entry, but you get something. So,
the round money is great. The round money thing is cool. I like that idea. I think it's Palm Beach actually implemented it in their bracket program a few years ago, and they paid round money for their bracket program. And it was hated at first by a lot of racers. Everybody hated it first. But the way I tried to explain it to racers, and I try to explain it to people, is everybody can't win. Like you just said, the top push is great. But more than likely, what's going to happen at 8 cars in any of those events, when you get the last even round, like let's say you get to let's say there's 13. Okay, and then 7 and then 4. Well, there's going to be no talking about money because it's odd every time. But if it falls, the car count falls 15 and then 8. Well, at 8 cars, more than likely those 8 guys are going to get together and they're going to figure out a way to split the money up a little bit anyway because all of them know they can't win. So they're
Right.
gonna say, hey, look, let's make it this much to win here. Let's make it that much to win there. And a lot of your guys that do this a lot, you're excuse me, your traveling racers, so to speak, your Corey Galettis and your
Kenny
your
Underwoods and all that.
yeah, your Williams brothers and all them guys. They're gonna know what to tell you to split. I mean, you don't gotta agree to it, but they'll have a plan when they come to the lanes. They're gonna know, and maybe they don't want to. Some guys they don't want to split, or some guys, they're driving for somebody, so they got a car owner and the car owner says, nope, we're not splitting no matter what. And sometimes that happens, but other times, they'd rather take something than nothing, and everybody chops the money up. Yeah, but here's the problem with paying a lot more back. So let's say we took our 50 and we made it 25, and we took the other 25 and we dispersed it, back to the top 8 guys. Let's say we did it in our flyer. If we did it in our flyer, and I know you don't believe this, nobody'd show up. Everybody would look at it and be like, well, I'm paying way too much money for 325s. That's way too much entry fee, because they don't see the money back. Everybody looks at the winner. Yes, everybody looks at that. And again, because Robert, because you're a budget-minded racer, you look at the rest of it. But 90% of these guys look at the winner's money. That's all they look at. They don't, and what you said makes perfect sense. Tony Gambardella tried to put a race on. I think it's been 2 or 3 years ago now, up in Carolina, and it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal purse because it paid. Let's say it paid 50 to win. It paid 25,000 runner up, 12,500 in semis. It paid ridiculous money. It was a high entry fee. It was like 1,500 to get in. It was like getting in the million. It was like getting in the million. But if you get down to 4 cars, you just made 15 grand. I mean, you know what I mean? It's it was 1,500 I think for the weekend, and it was ridiculous money that you could win, and he had a 200. I think he had a 250 car max or 225 car max. He had 102 cars on the property. He had 102 entries. He had about 70 cars on the property. It was, and I mean, Dave Conning was there, McCarty's were there, Galetti's were there, all the toughest guys in the country were there, but because they understood what it was paying back, they read the whole flyer. But most guys that read just the three top purses and the entry fee, they went, I'm not paying $1,500 run for 50 grand. Are you crazy? But if you read the whole thing, it paid crazy money back. But that's actually the year we went to the World Finals and for the IHRA. That's me, because we were going to go. We couldn't go because of that. I was going to go to his race and run the no box, because he had a no box side. I was going to, and the no box guy. So the no box side paid, I think it paid $1,000 to win the no box side. He had one guy show up. That guy got $1,000 a day just for being there. So he paid $1,500 to get in. He got $3,000 for being there.
Wow. Ooh. Well, you're talking about, bottom bug guys are more looking at their money. And also, I think, if you want to promote something, no box, the best part of doing it is early part of the year instead of at the end of the year, because, you start having mechanical problems. You got to fix your car, and that's more money that you have to dump in your vehicle to get it repaired. And so I think, to promote something like that would be better off probably in February and March than later on to run it at near the end of the year.
In Florida, definitely. I think the trick to doing a no box deal, if you were going to do one in Florida, I think would be to get in front of everything. Get in front of before any points races start, before any race begins. You don't want to get too early, but you want to get early enough because that's the other thing that happens. So again, bottom ball guys are they're really loyal to their home track. They really are. So if you're in a points chase and you're third and you're 3 rounds or 4 rounds out of first place, and all of a sudden I pop a race up and I go, hey, we're going to have 3 10-granders in Bradenton or 3 10-granders in Gainesville or wherever, racetrack X, we're at 3 10-granders, and it's this great entry fee and all this great stuff. Most local bottom ball guys will skip it if there's a points race the same weekend. It's not. I'm not just telling you that. We've done statistics on it. It's the truth. Most guys are, especially if you're in the middle of the late part of the season. Again, in the beginning, people are still like, I can catch them. I can do this. I can do that. Oh, now you're down to, like right now, Gainesville's got, I think, 1 points race left. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you put a race on the same weekend in Orlando and it paid whatever to win, the top 5 guys in Gainesville are going to Gainesville. More than likely. Now, I don't know if my kid's in top 5 or not. He's going where the money's at, but most of them are going to go. Most of them are going to go where the points are because they want to win that track championship or they want to have a shot at winning that track championship, and that's there's something to be said about that. That's a great thing. But from a promoter standpoint and trying to put a race on, you're absolutely right. The earlier you can do it, I would say late February would be good because once you get into March, you got the Gators, and then people are starting their point series then. And I know a few tracks try to start even in February, but if you could do it in February, before anything started or even on an off weekend, the holidays are gone and everybody's twiddling their thumbs and they want to do a race. And if you did it like maybe in, not that I want to take it from Gainesville, but if you did it maybe in Bradenton where the weather would be a little bit warmer in late January, early February, you could probably do it then too. But and again, the problem with that is the problem you're going to run into in Florida is all your tracks have pretty good events that time of year. If you look around, that's when everything's scheduled. That's like you talked about earlier, the top fuel races in February.
Right.
The reason they do that is because we have beautiful weather. So and we can race all year round. So all these guys in New York and PA and Ohio, where their cars are in the garage, with a heater and can't do nothing, those guys are gonna, hook their stuff up and come to Florida, or they're gonna, fly down and watch the top fuel race because there's nothing going on up there. They can't race, they're snowed in. So it's hard to put an event on, to get a track to go, hey man, we're gonna do this event, and it might make us some money and it might not.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard to do that when you got other events that that time of year. You got to take advantage of it, as far as the weather, because in Florida, this time of year, you never know what's going to happen,
But it's
in January, it's always iffy because you're either going to have nice, decent weather, or if it's going to be so dang cold that there's no heat in the track and you're not going to be able to run on it. Yeah, we got snow flurries the year I did the New Year's Nationals in Gainesville.
Really?
Snow flurries. I couldn't believe it. I was like, at the beginning, in the first few years I did races, I don't even know why I'm still doing it. All this gray hair is not for my kids. It's from the first few years of doing these races because it was ungodly. I couldn't believe that because we do I do a weather analysis. So I go back 10 years. So like we know what the weather. So November, and I don't even want to say it out loud. I do not want to jinx myself, but
don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay, I won't even say it out loud. Then we won't even say it. But I do a weather thing every year, and when we did the New Year's race, the week before it said it was going to be a low of 63 and a high of like 74, and it was supposed to be beautiful. And literally the Wednesday before the race, the weather flips, and it's going to be in the 40s and 30s and snow flurries. It ended up in the 20s. And snow flurries. I had racers that were from up north that came down to race the race. They were walking over to me in the pits going, dude, we're in Florida. We left up north to come here. And
it's warmer at home than here.
It's snowing on us. What are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine. I mean, you rolled the dice clearly.
I had a friend that moved down, and she goes, man, I came down here because it's warmer in Florida. And I says, well, you haven't been through any of our winters because sometimes we're colder here than what you were up in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Because of all the moisture that we have. I said, it just chills you down to the bones.
It does.
Yeah. We've all been in a couple of those races. I was in the Unleashed race years ago at Gainesville. And I mean, it was high 30s
Yeah.
Something like that, or low 40s, but the dew point was just ridiculous, and it would stick to you. So everybody, after they'd make a run, no matter where they were at, they either would not get out of their car, they'd never open the hood, or they're hopping into whoever's got the heater going. You know what I mean? And we all did that were down there. I was like, this is absolutely insane. I'm all bundled up and 3 fire jackets. Didn't need them, but I had 3. I was wearing people's fire jackets and stuff, and just to try to stay warm. But yeah, you're right about the weather for sure.
You had 50 pounds to your car because of all the clothes that you was wearing.
Yeah, exactly. I had to loosen up the belts and everything. But hey, man, I was at least bearable. That was my glasses would fog, but the window would fog, and that was a challenge.
Yeah,
but, I know there's people that's got better ways to do it than what I was doing, but it worked.
It worked.
It worked. We made it work.
Yeah, it was a solution.
Yeah, we made a solution, and it's amazing how far your hand can stretch, even when you're strapped in. You have a rag tied up on the end of your hand.
That's right.
All you got to do is spot the tree and spot the finish line. All this extra glass is just pointless. You got to be able to see, and that's it. So that's what we did for that whole night, and but it worked.
Good deal. Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was to say that weekend in Gainesville, we did the New Year's deal. That I had people coming over that were, they weren't complaining about the track. They were well, I guess they were complaining. They what they were doing was they were like, up north, we race in 30-degree weather all the time, and cars go down the track and whatever. And I'm like, well, I said, I understand that, but you got to understand that we're in Florida. We're not used to 30-degree weather, so we don't know. Excuse me, we don't necessarily know how to prep the track or this cold of a condition. I mean, I've been to Piedmont, one of Michael Beard's races, and it was 28 degrees outside. My car back then would do wheelies and carry them, 100, 150 feet. And it did a wheelie, carried it 100, 150 feet, was, going dead on. And, back, in Piedmont in 28-degree weather. And, but in Florida, when you're used to, the coldest you race in normally is in maybe the 50s, all of a sudden now you're in the 30s. And it's like you said, the dew point's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
The dew point gets, matches it. Now all of a sudden you got problems, and to get racers to understand that side of it is sometimes difficult, but I wouldn't change nothing for the world as far as what I do, as far as promoting it and dealing with people. I mean, it's the good definitely outweighs the bad. It's not I understand where people are coming from when they say, certain stuff. I get it. Cause like I said, it's sometimes it's difficult. You're frustrated. You spent all this money to go to an event, and, now you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs, but when the track's not safe, the track's not safe. So
that's right.
But yeah.
So agreed.
It's always best to race another day than try to go out there.
Yeah,
and
we ended up getting the race in that. Yeah, we ended up getting it in that weekend, but I think we scratched Friday and raced Saturday and Sunday is what I think ended up happening. And it was still cold. It was still cold, but it was doable.
Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Rob, and talking about the event. I think you're going to sell out. I think all the spots are going to be filled. Just by talking to people, and I've been helped push it out as well on my end.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. It's got a lot of exposure. I mean, I do appreciate it. It's gonna, like I said, the cards are gonna fall where they fall. We're gonna give it a shot, and we hope everybody comes and has a great time. We want to, that's my first thing to do is I want to put on a good event. I want everybody to have a, you're not gonna make everyone happy all the time, but you try to make the majority of people happy. And even the guys that leave a little bit upset about whatever reason, I even try to follow up with them and be like, hey, man, hopefully things got better and, you understand, the whole thing. Because usually when somebody leaves upset, it's either they didn't have a good weekend on the racetrack or it's not normally. And even if they try to blame it on the promoter at first, or they say, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Most of the time, it's not that we didn't try to do something for you. It's either we couldn't do what you wanted. It was an expectation we can't fulfill, or you were upset about something else and you turn it into that. But most of the time people go home and they're turned around, they're happy. We get a lot more praise than we do, negative about our stuff. So it, but you try to, that's the first thing you try to do is put a good event on and everybody leave, that had a good time. You want them to have a good time. That's like the New Year's event, Braden. That's all that event's about. Is to me, it's not a big money. It's about having a good time. You come there, you plan on basically camping out for 3 days and cooking hot dogs and drinking some beer when you're done racing, and you're telling stories and racing with your buddies. And if you happen to win one of the days, that's awesome. That's a big, I hope everybody wins, but if you go there and you have a good time, that's what I want to know. I just want to know you had a good time, so that's our push to do events first. Obviously everybody, like you said, you don't want to go backwards money wise. Right. We're not doing it to try to, pay for our house or, we're not trying to make, life changing money, so to speak, but we are trying to, we're not trying to go backwards, but you try to, and you want to improve on it. So if you do an event like this one, it's going to be the first one. So it can only get better. So I started to say earlier, if the no box side, sells out, like several people have told me they think it's going to sell out quick. Well, next year we'll change it. Maybe we'll take 32 away from Super Pro, and we'll add 32 cars to no box. So now you can have a 64 car field, and there'll only be, instead of 350, there'll be 280 something or whatever it is, 296 or 298, whatever it ends up, or whatever. No, it ain't that much, 320 something, whatever it is. 32 from 350. I'm too tired to do math right now. So 318. So there'd be 318, no box car or box cars, because I like to keep the car count, similar.
And the one good thing about this event, I know we're going to discuss some things, but the plan is to live stream it.
Mm-hmm.
So if your family can't make it down with you to the track to watch your race, you can, tune in and watch the live streaming of it.
Absolutely, yeah, we're going to live stream it. Yeah, you're going to live stream it for us, and I'm looking forward to that too. It's first time we get to work with you too, and I think that'll be good for both of us. And it'll be completely live streamed. So if you can't, if your significant other's racing and you can't get there, or your kids or your grandkids are racing and you can't be there with your grandkids, you can always turn it on and watch it and see how they do.
Right. And actually this weekend I plan on going to Gainesville for the test and tune, and I'm going to set everything up and I'm going to do some trial runs with the live stream, because we're, here in the past we have done the split screen where you can see the tree and you can see the boards at the traps. And so what we're going to try to do is get everything worked out where you will see the cars at the tree full screen. And then after they take off and start to go out of view, it will be switched over to down track where people can see the boards. And that way you don't have to squint while you're looking at it on your telephone.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good idea. Yeah. I like that. That'll be a good addition to your live stream.
Oh yeah. And I want to thank Jody Kennedy for allowing me to start live streaming races out there to provide that for people's families, for one that can't make it. And it's given me the opportunity to grow. What else do I need? How can I do this? How can I get this angle? And it's led to me to buy other equipment. At one time, I thought it was the internet that was the issue when we were having some problems. Sometimes it was the internet, but also the other laptop I had was kind of old and it was a little slow. So went out and purchased a new laptop to just provide a better image for fans to watch.
Yeah.
Robert, do you have anything else?
No, I appreciate you allowing me to come here and ask Rob some questions, and from the bottom bulb aspect, because I had several people reach out to me asking for clarification. And Rob, I appreciate you taking the time to
absolutely.
Yep. And like I knew you would. I knew you've always been a straight shooter and very, very forthcoming. So thank you very much for your time, Rob.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks, man.
You will. We'll be there.
You know.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much, Rob.
Yep.
Take care, Rob.
All right. Take care, Mitchell.
And there goes Rob. Well, I tell you, I think a lot of information got put out there, and especially for the bottom bulb guys. They were wondering how everything was going to work out, and I kind of like the format now since it's been, detailed out of how it's going to break down.
I agree. The fact that the way that he explained it, the fact that you're still getting the same round money as the box guys starting at third round, starting at third round win, you make the same all the way up. And then once you do reach the final of no box, the winner gets a bonus and then immediately falls into the same round or next round of box. So you can continue on with round winning money. So that's an interesting format. I've never thought of that format before. But that's interesting. So I can definitely see a lot of people now, having heard that, trying to get in it, and especially if you have the capability of doubling, running box versus no box. If you have the capability financial wise of doing that, and you're doubling your time, your opportunity, and capping the total number of cars. Period. Because Rob was at Bristol, so he saw the amazing car count. And he participated in it, and I don't even know. I lost count how many rounds he went on multi-days. So trying to get a race done in 1 day is a challenge to no end. So look forward to it.
And I'll tell you, those 32 spots are going to fill up really fast.
Yes, they are, especially with just a $95 deposit, which is a fair deposit. So that's good. So that knocks off the total. Obviously, when you get at the gate, that takes that much off of us. So kind of lessens the out of pocket at the moment. But his analysis of bottom bulb racers in general down here, I believe is fair. I believe it's really fair. I mean, we all compete at the same places, same tracks, same purses, but we all have different walks of life, different means of working and stuff like that, and different financial capabilities. So I agree. I agree with what he said.
Well, I want to bring something up that's a little different before we close out here. And I wanted to get your feedback. What do you think about Angel Sampey now jumping into a top alcohol dragster? She's going to run 3 events here at the end of the season. And the plan is for her to run a full season next year in 2024 and have the possibility of driving a top fuel car in 2025. And that's all, because of AB Motorsports, which is Antron Brown. And if people have not been around drag racing for a long time, Antron and Angel have been teammates before racing for Don Schumacher.
Agreed. Now, I tell you, you're not going to have, in my opinion, a more qualified racer than her. She has proven her talents and her ability in past and present. So that goes without saying. Her resume speaks for itself. And the fact that what she accomplished on a motorcycle, in my opinion, one of the most difficult means of drag racing, just it's phenomenal. So her getting into a top alcohol car, I think it'll take a couple laps for her to adjust. And I say this jokingly, probably the fact that she'll have to turn it to want to guide it versus wanting to put body English into it from what she's traditional. I say that jokingly. I know she's not going to, but mentally you get so accustomed to something. So I'd imagine just the first pass or two, her not getting ahead of it, or not getting behind it, I should say, when she's driving it. And so her coming from the motorcycle background, like with Antron and stuff like that, she's going to be just fine. Yeah, I think she's going to do just well.
We've seen this story play out before. Antron, after 2008, he went the route of getting into a top fuel car with Don Schumacher, and Now he owns his own team.
Right.
And I think Angela's going to do really good. Antron said that, she looked very comfortable. He was very impressed of how she was picking everything up, and said there was been questions going around because a lot of people had seen Angel sitting in Antron's Brown's car while they were firing it up in the pits and getting everything ready to go rounds. So there was already a little bit of a talk going on with her sitting in the car.
I got you. I got you kind of putting a little feelers out and just letting the anticipation kind of build. Well, that makes sense.
And then after the Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals in Brainerd, she made some passes there, and she finished up and got her license in top alcohol at Indy.
Oh, excellent. I missed. Do they have a backer currently? Sponsor?
Who?
Do they have a sponsor currently?
I think they're probably going to release some of that information as it goes.
I didn't know if they announced it already. I just hadn't heard. That's why I was wondering.
I haven't seen a press release on a marketing partner yet for her. They'll probably run these 3 races without a marketing partner, or just have some small marketing partners on board. And this is just to try to get her more comfortable ahead of the 2024 season.
You see, and I think this is an excellent move because the alcohol cars have to run on the regional series, the Lucas Oil Regional Series. And some of them run at the Baby Gators, for example, at the beginning of the year down here in Gainesville, and they also run Ohio, Indy, and other things, but they run a regional circuit that doesn't necessarily correspond with the national event at the same time. So she's going to be exposed to different markets.
Exactly.
Or I should say fans are going to have an opportunity to see her in a different setting, a different time, which I think is going to be excellent, especially for the fan bases and the fans of her and of Antron. I think it's excellent. I think it's a very good move, and I think she's going to enjoy it. And boy, she is going to be tough. Oh my goodness, is she going to be tough?
And you look at it, she's been doing some great things with Mission Foods, and
yes, she has. Yes, she has.
Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge, being part of that. They sponsored her when she was with Vance and Hines, and it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see Mission Foods on that top alcohol dragster.
I could see that. I would like to see her possibly driving the FX cars, the new NHRA FX cars. I think that would be an excellent fit for her too, and others. But I enjoy seeing professional racers going and venturing out and exploring and going into the sportsman ranks. The alcohol dragsters are the top of the line of the sportsman ranks. But nevertheless, going into those different fields and experiencing it, because you get to see different areas, different people, different experiences and stuff, and different marketing. And I think it's good. I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah. And at one time she was really talking about at the early part of this year, she was talking about starting her own pro stock motorcycle team. And then, she had some conversations with Antron Brown. And he pretty much said, hey, why don't you try this? I think you'll like it. And get off the 2 wheels and get on something that's got 4 wheels up underneath it. And she's really excited. She is really excited about the things to come for her. She's going to be in a tight class, talking about regional.
Right.
She'll be running, I think, Tony Stewart, Julie, I know I'm going to mess up her last name. Julie Natias.
I know who you're talking to, but I yes, I don't say her last name correctly either.
From Sweden.
Yeah.
You got Jasmine Salinas that she will have to actually probably compete against some.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for the Salinas family, they were the ones that actually allowed Angel to get in her car to get her license, to make her license passes.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So
I didn't know that. But I wonder if you can claim a region that you want to run, whether it's east or west. I I don't honestly know I used to know, but I don't remember anymore. If you can claim a region, because I've seen people do that for whatever reason, whether it's family or tracks
Right.
where the tuner, lives on one side versus the other, or car owner. So,
And they got different ways they can do it. They can run for a division, they can run for regional, and then they can run for a national. And so
right.
it's really weird. So they can actually win 3 championships in one
Well,
year.
I don't know if they can actually win a divisional versus a regional, or if it's only a regional. I don't know.
Right.
I don't honestly remember. The other ranks, I'm familiar with those, but the regional races at times I lose track of that. But
Because I know Randy Meyer and them, with Julie, they've already pretty much summed it up and won the regional. It's done. It's hers. And now they're concentrating on finishing the year by trying to win a national.
I got you, because I think Joey Torrance, he's always in the thick on the West Coast. The reigning world champ.
Right.
So he would be on the Western region. Yeah, I think there's more nitro cars on the East versus the West, on the region wise. But go ahead.
And I don't know how Randy Meyer and them do it, but they are always a top competitive, no matter who is behind the wheel of their alcohol car.
Oh yeah, their equipment and tuning is literally second to none. I mean, if you're a qualified, skilled, capable driver and you listen to them, to their teachings, you will win. Maybe not the very first race, but you will win. That is, it's proven. I mean, it's absolutely proven. And there's several teams out there, not only in the alcohol side, but I mean in other classes through the sports. I mean, through NHRA, that once again, if you can get involved with the team, top-notch equipment, their abilities, teaching, tuning, everything is top-notch. And if you're a capable driver, you will eventually win. And so that's great, actually. That's great, because I think it's good for the sport. So I'd like to see how it goes, because I think it'd be a really good following. And
I like all these younger drivers coming in now and getting their license in alcohol. We know someone that races out at Gainesville. She raced there for years in juniors, and now she is in an alcohol car, and that's Sarah Allen. And she's doing really, really well. I know they had some stumbles and stuff this past weekend at the Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals, but things like that happen. Was able to get in the show because another car had issues and could not make it, so that automatically bumped her in from 17th to the 16th car. But she's come a long way. She really has. And one thing about her, she's very outspoken. She can actually bring in some probably advertising dollars and marketing partners for their program.
I haven't had a chance to meet her. I knew the Allens from back when they were running local, a lot more local and stuff like that. And I liked them. They're a great family. You know what I mean? They're a real tight knit family, and they love to race. Oh my goodness! Especially remember when they had the juniors at the track.
Oh yes.
I mean, and just that is one great family. You can't miss them. They're always just chuckling and laughing and racing and competing and but that was then, and they've steadily progressed up and they're doing well. And I like seeing locals that have the opportunity to progress. That's great.
Right. And, speaking of Artie Allen and their family, my thoughts and prayers go out to them. Artie lost his brother this week with a battle of cancer, and just want to let them know that we're thinking of them and keeping them in our prayers, and
absolutely,
and praying for God to put comfort around them.
Yeah, we pray for peace for them. Absolutely, you're correct.
But I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Robert, thank you for your time co-hosting. You're doing such a great job. I might just have to put you on here permanently.
No, I appreciate you. Hey man, look, Y'all don't understand. Last night we were sitting there talking like this, and we were talking, I don't know, for 3 hours, and then we both realized, okay, it's past midnight. We both got to go to work, and
Right.
we shut down. So it's just like, and it's like this Saturday, at the tracks, we just hang out and
Definitely.
talk to each other. So no, I appreciate you willing to allow me to come here and bend your ear a little bit and talk to you, and I enjoy it, especially when we get talking about something we enjoy very much, and and hopefully get to include others and share with others and promote others. And
right. This sport is so big, and it has so many opportunities. I actually reached out to a guy just this morning that works on a funny car team, and he's a mechanic. And I want to try to bring him on and talk about what he goes through a weekend at a track, and all the different types of things, the ups, the downs, standing on line and the car not making it a full run, and the thrash of getting it ready to go back out for round 2, round 3 of qualifying to try to make it field. I want to see that part of the sport, not just a driver and public relations and stuff like that. There's so many components.
I agree, and like we were talking, I think it's great to include everybody in all the classes, but also everybody behind the scenes, what they have to go through to get, to work a little later, to get off a little earlier so they can go to the track, having to stop off the store and pack up with the food with the family, make sure the kids are taken care of before you go, right. All this kind of stuff. And then make sure you're there on time. You got to get everything unloaded if you have a lot to unload. Get things
especially
ready.
Me on that.
yeah, you got yours streamlined, and I got mine pretty doggone streamlined too. But you know what I'm talking about. Get things ready, get warmed up, get through tech, and be ready when they call you. And then the mental game. While it's simple, we all our minds are our worst enemies. You know what I mean?
Oh, it is.
It's our worst enemy. We second guess ourselves and wonder, and next thing you know, we're in left field, and then you're trying so hard to get out of left field that you go the other way. But really at times we're all competitive. We're all very competitive, and that's the nature of it. And that's the wonderful thing of it. But
and the thing is,
go ahead.
The thing is, if we wasn't competitive, there's no sense in going out and racing.
Agreed. But on the flip side, by the competitiveness that we all have, it's all drawn us closer together in a family atmosphere to everything. And that's what a lot of people on the outside looking in, especially I've had some friends come and they've never been to a drag strip before, never been to a drag race before. All they've seen is Street Outlaws or a national event. And that's what they think when they come. It's a different atmosphere. It's more kickback. But the fact that, hey, you and I just raced, and then afterwards, we're like just busting each other's chops. We're having a good time. You know what I mean? And wishing the other person, whoever won, to go on and do your thing. But, and they're like going, well, y'all get along. Yeah. And the thing about it, everybody's welcome. All walks of life are welcome. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who. And,
right.
You're welcome in, and, you know what I mean, to compete in the race. And that's
the most diverse sport there is.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. From way before it became in other sports, but it's like I've met people in the past several years. I've gone to Bristol that I've remained friends with. So now, one lives in Virginia, another lives in North Carolina, and things like that. So I get a chance to see them like once or twice a year, but we wouldn't meet them at any other setting other than this venue. And, but just like you and I mean, we joke around, but obviously when we run each other, we're going after each other as hard as we can. That's the point of it. But
we've had some close ones.
Oh yes, we've had some really good races. We really have. And but that's what makes it fun. That going in, everybody out there, what they're capable of doing, and they're capable of beating you to no end. And that's that going in, but that's the challenge. Okay, so you got to walk out aisle and give it a try, and see what happens. But that's what makes it good. And that's what makes you better. Iron sharpens iron. And but like I said, I can get all into philosophical stuff. But I think we get talking in the future, if you want, like behind the scenes, and you know what I mean, everything getting ready and prepping you had to do. If you had to do something, if you had any misfortune, you had to get fixed. And this goes for anybody. There's people out there that, you know, blew a transmission last time and they got it out. They're trying to work on getting it rebuilt while going to work, you know what I mean, get the converter checked out while getting it ready and hopefully get it back in by the next race. Now we got a little time gap, but you know, that, for example, I mean, all just because they want to compete. And that's what makes it great.
Right, exactly. Well, I appreciate it, Robert. And if you're tuning in late, you can go to On the Spot Motorsports Media's Facebook page and you can watch this from the beginning. Like I said, we had Rob Reynolds on tonight, had a lot of great information about the upcoming Fall Brawl that will take place at Gainesville Raceway on November the 9th through the 12th. There may be some answers for some of your questions on there. And like I said, I think it's going to be a great event. We've got several coming up. We've got the 352 shootout that Derek Putnam puts on. And yes, Derek Putnam also works for Sick the Mag. He does a lot of work for them, a lot of write-ups. Go to Sick the Mag on Facebook, like their page, and see his write-ups on there. We got the No One Fights Alone race coming up by Ben Whiting. He puts that race on, and what money is left over after a race goes to St. Jude's Hospital to help those children fight cancer. And it wasn't but a few years back, his son was actually in the fight of his life for cancer, and that's just his way of giving back. And the good news, me and Ben have talked over the past couple of weeks, that No One Fights Alone race is going to be expanded, not just at Gainesville Raceway, but it's going to be ran up in Rockingham, North Carolina. I want to say like the second weekend of March. I think it's right before the Gators. That they were running that up there, and then on Labor Day that weekend will be in Darlington. And so far, it looks like I will be the one live streaming those races. So everyone, so we're really excited about that. That part of the business is starting to pick up a little bit, and I'm just very blessed for how everything's been going on the page. We're over 5,400 followers and growing. And if there's any questions that anybody out there has, feel free to message me through that page and try to find you some answers. I got one guy, he's waiting on an answer right now and wanting to know if Tony Stewart's going to run up in Maple Grove, which is the next race after the U.S. Nationals. And so far right now, they have not posted the entries for that race. So, but as soon as they get those posted, I'm going to let that gentleman know. I'm going to actually copy and paste the whole entire entry list for Top Alcohol Dragster for up there.
That's great, man. Congratulations to you on and wish you the best on your continued expansion and success. But yeah, I think it's cool. Somebody's reaching out to you, wanting to know if Tony's in Indy or not, or the race after Indy.
Yeah, Maple Grove.
Maple Grove just wants to see if he's there, and I'm like, or going to be there. I think that's great. So,
and I tell you, he's doing real good in that class. He's won 3 races so far. And just goes to show you, you know, guys who do a lot of turning, they can also run down the straight track.
Well, not only that, you're just about not going to find a more competitive person.
Oh no, you will not.
Robbie Gordon, maybe, or if AJ was still around, you know, I mean, stuff like that. But Tony Stewart is a competitive man, and I like that. I like that about him. He doesn't make any excuses about it. He is competitive, and whatever he gets into, and I'm like, I think that's cool.
Yeah, it is. I want to mention, you know, I thought some prayers go out to Tony Stewart Racing because they actually lost a racer this past week. I cannot think of her name, but she's on the page. You can go through, and they're going to hold a memorial race for her. And 24 years old, and lost her life during a traffic accident.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She
terrible.
Yeah, so they're going to have a memorial race, which is really, really great.
That's first class. Yeah. That's
all right, Robert. I guess we're going to get out of here. Again, thank everyone, and hope Hope everybody has a great weekend. Don't forget Xfinity race and Cup Series race at Daytona this weekend. Menards ARCA race and Craftsman Truck Series is at Milwaukee. I hope everyone has a great night. Take care.
Y'all have a good night. Bye.